Hi, everybody. This is Alan Fine. I'm here with Paula Twydale, who's the Senior Vice President of Travel for AAA. And if you're under 16, that's the American Automobile Association. And when you pass your test, you'll become a member. We are going to talk about the fact that last year, we didn't really have Memorial Day data to talk about, and now we have some projections. We're going to talk about all that and more here on Insider Travel Report. Paula, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Alan. A pleasure to be here.
So last year was the first time in 20 years that AAA didn't have data. That's amazing. What a difference a year makes.
Amazing.
And 2019, if I remember, it was a record banner year of 43 million U.S. travelers, the highest since the year 2000,
Yes.
when you started tracking. And the lowest was 2009 until what, 2020?
Yes. So the recession was the lowest, and then 2020, we didn't track it, but we with inside information that we actually glean now, it was about 60% over this year, right? So it was about 23 million last year, inevitably. So it was very, very different. So 20 million less.
So the projection, though, is for what now for this year?
So the great news is the projection is like 37 million Americans will travel over the Memorial Day weekend. So we're really excited about that. And as you know, we talk about this a lot. Most of those 9 out of 10 will be by automobile. They're going to be on the road. So that's a good number, 34 million. So we're very excited. And it's 80. I think the most compelling thing, Alan, is that it's 87% of 2019. So to think about how we recover, 87% of 2019 numbers is pretty darn good. So I'm excited to hear that number. And, it actually could be more. So let's wait and see.
No, let's see. But of course, when you talk about the travel by car, you talk about gas. And I know you've said that gas prices, while they may be up, they're not necessarily deterrent. Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. Memorial Day is the kickoff of the summer of travel. And historically, the gas prices tend to go up, but it's going to be the highest price since 2014. It's likely to be around $3 or just slightly more than $3 a gallon. And it is the most expensive, but people can't panic about it because there's certainly enough supply. We certainly had the pipeline issue this past week, but that's
over with, that cyber attack.
Yeah. So the good news is that's recovering. It's still, in some of the states, they're still having a little bit of issue to get back on their feet, but it's nothing that's going to deter travel. Generally, what we find is even when the gasoline prices go up, people just take a little bit different tack when they're on holiday. They'll go out and maybe they'll eat out a little bit less or do things differently in vacation spots, but nothing that says it's going to deter them from actually traveling. So that's good news.
But that's one less hot fudge sundae or one less lobster roll or one.
Yes, but during COVID, we can all use one less snack. Right?
That is a very good point.
Exactly, one less snack.
So now let's talk about the different modes. Airlines now, booking is starting. What are the numbers there?
Right. Well, about 2.5 or 2.5 million people are expected to travel by air. So that's up. As you know, we were hard pressed to hit that 1 million mark with the TSA, and we've been hitting around 1.6 daily. So going up to about 2.5 million on a daily basis is very, very good during that holiday season. And, you're hearing in the news with all the airlines today, like people like United, different airlines are putting more fleet in the air. They're adding more to their schedule for the summer. So that means that the demand is there. And I think those people who hesitate, are going to be lost. They really need to make some decisions and get with the program and stop booking, because there will be limitations for people to get out there and do what they want to do if they wait too long.
Well, I think that you mentioned something when I heard you speak last, the rental car issue, that there's shortages and that, and look, it looks like everything's going to be a shortage with the demand, but even more so?
Yeah, this is kind of a compelling statement right now because we're getting a lot of questions asked, and we're not the great omniscience, certainly, but we're seeing sort of this dichotomy that exists with rental car shortages, because historically rental car companies will, every year renew some of their fleet because that's the best thing that they can do. They want newer cars on the road, less maintenance issues so that they can maximize the utilization of those vehicles. Well, unfortunately, with COVID everyone was fixing their home and doing things and so forth, and everyone was working from home, which means they were working on their laptops or computers. And suddenly there was this surge requested for those semiconductor chips. And we actually created a shortage of semiconductor chips, which really helps the automobile associations, auto manufacturers produce vehicles, produce cars. And they were
So they didn't have the chips for the cars, you're saying?
Yes, the semiconductor chips for the module for the cars. So, which means the fleets are less, or they've been on hiatus for a little bit. And that supply and demand issue continues. And if you people that decided to fix their home, or decide to go out and buy new appliances, everything was backlogged for steel, semiconductor chips. So that shortages has a rippling effect now for the car rental car companies to be able to buy new vehicles. So, and on top of that, we're expecting 12 million members more Americans this year to take a trip by car. So with that increase, more people are taking that domestic trip, more by road. So there's an influx demand there. Then you've got the semiconductor chips, less inventory. And that's the dichotomy now that exists. And that supply and demand is going to be a problem for the summer.
Well, most of the road trips are people with their existing cars. I mean, these rental cars, you come off the plane. Now that the plane bookings are surging, for example, I know I've got a family reunion to go to, and I'm trying to rent a car, and it's 60% more than that, even than last time I rented.
We're seeing prices 40 to 60% higher and less inventory. So first of all, with less inventory, just in general, the prices are going to go up because they can get more. Let's face it. We're coming out of
and they need it. They haven't had any money. Everybody's trying to make up some for lost time.
Well, yes, but the consumers that are traveling, a couple of things to point out that in the leisure sector, we have a lot of discretionary income that's been pent up in the leisure sector. So many people didn't travel. The stats are out there talking about $1.4 trillion in discretionary income for people that made over $100,000 that didn't travel last year. So the demand is there. They have money to spend. They're buying more. They're getting out more. They're taking these trips. But to your point, there are individuals, if they're going to go with their family, they might have a family vehicle, but they don't want to put the mileage on their car. They might rent a bigger vehicle to take that road trip and go a couple of states over, or they go camping or something. So that's putting demand. And then there's an influx of people flying into these destinations, which are generally the warm weather destinations. And you're seeing a demand there for rental cars.
And we usually talk about the whole AAA Leisure Travel Index. So we've also got hotels.
Yes, for sure. We were seeing a lot of deals out there for hotels. And I guess I started by saying that with hotels right now, or cars or anything, make your decisions to book now, because the number of nights are up, the bookings are up. We're seeing that historically in our own companies, to seeing what's online. The online bookings are happening now, and prices are edging up in these destinations.
And also some of the hotels have caps, so it's going to book up even faster.
Oh, for sure, because of inventory. You've got a couple of issues. We can talk about a little bit about what are the challenges of recovery, and the challenges are ramping up. It's not just car companies. The hotels have to ramp up their staff. They need to get people back to work. Tour operators, everybody has to get people back to work. And it's retraining and getting that staff up and running to be able to handle the volume. So you've got that issue. And you also have a limited number of nights and availability, especially in a condensed season. If you're going to a destination that has a very distinct seasonality to it, the demand for that seasonality, Alaska, maybe the cruises are not cruising yet. And hopefully they will. Maybe we can salvage some of the season. But, historically, people still going and doing Alaska by land. And now you've got an influx of people traveling to Alaska. So you're going to have a minimum amount of rooms available. The prices will go up. And certainly trying to rent a vehicle will be almost non-existent. So all those things have impact. And sales outpaced, by the way, online sales and traffic outpaced April 2019 by like 19% for us. So it shows that so many more people, all of a sudden that switch went on in April and they're starting to book. So it makes a big difference.
And we saw, we are B2B. We just go out to travel advisors. And what we saw, unfortunately, like everything else, there was a drop. Our distribution is no longer over 100,000, sadly. And we're hoping to see it come back. The AAA advisors, did they drop? Are they coming back? Any news on that front?
I think that whatever drop you see, I think there's a shift in the pendulum, right? We have different people that perform different functions. I think a lot of companies would drop, and then they're going to re-add because they need to fill a demand. So that's going to be inherent to what you're going to see just in the industry. That's just my take on it. With AAA, we reposition people. Now we're positioning back these agents. We protected a lot of our travel agents because they're so skilled. Knowledge is power, and they're so skilled at what they do that and they know the destination. So those agents are back online, and they're back in the brick and mortar agencies, and they have their online sites and their personal accounts and so forth. And they're really stepping up. So it's just, we're fortunate at AAA because we're multiple business lines, let's face it. And with travel, we were able to protect and reposition and really use our resources wisely so we didn't lose really talented people. Obviously there's some fallout that you're going to have in any organization, but I feel very confident in that, of the skill level and the competencies and what AAA Travel Advisors can provide to the consumers. And just more people have to reach out. It's a resource that we have. And now we have, Alan, I think you might have heard pieces of this before, but I think the general public understanding that we're putting out a digital tour book. We've done so much to emphasize having an omnichannel solution where we have digital opportunities in a channel where you can actually make reservations, understand what we do. We put out great content that's relevant and fresh. We cater to advertising, but we also cater to that consumer who's looking for information about a destination. And that coupled with the travel advisor is a home run. It's just a home run.
Well, let me rewind because I did have a personal question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between the digital tour book and the app, which seems to be everything? Can't you also get the digital tour book on an app?
Well, it can go through the app. Okay, as we're launching this, it'll be able to be on the app on your tablet. Your digital tour book can be accessible on a tablet. It can be accessible on your iPhone. The good news is it's portable, right? Instead of you having to go necessarily into the brick and mortar and get that print that's outdated, it's going to be more concentrated.
And the triptychs also, everything is all available.
Absolutely.
On the app.
Triptychs, with AAA triptychs and with the COVID map, everything is accessible online. And that's the goal for the Omnichannel Solution for us. And it came in, handy for this particular time where we went through a crisis and now we're rebounding and coming out of it.
Yeah, but how great is it to have this tool now forevermore?
It's very cool. It's great. It is great. And we're very proud of it. We're very, very excited about it because I think, members are going to be able to, and consumers are going to be able to look at this and say, I'm interested in destination X, but that's important to me. Maybe something else isn't. And I can zero in as my specific likes and what I want to do, what I want to see, and what's relevant. And I may want to print a page or two and take that along, or I have it accessible on a tablet or an iPhone. So it's really, really good. And it's good for our partners, our preferred suppliers who are advertising, and it really hones in on information for them. And we're bringing it out to our network of clubs, and our travel advisors are there to help them once decisions are being made. It's sort of like your Pinterest board of destination choices.
Well, speaking of destinations, so you always do this. The popular destinations post-COVID are what?
Oh, goodness. Well, let me tell you what's selling now, where we're going, right? So we have, what's open. Okay, first of all, start what's open, right? And then, of course, people coming out are looking at warm weather destinations: Las Vegas, Orlando, Myrtle Beach, Denver, Nashville, Hawaii, and Mexico, and the Caribbean, all very popular destinations.
Well, what I find interesting is that the two that are on both the list for driving and flying are Orlando and Las Vegas. That's pretty
yes, yeah. Of course. Orlando is a destination. Las Vegas is a destination. There's Key West and Palm Springs. And then from flying, whether it's touring or just flying to a destination, the list doesn't change. Italy's on the top of the list, Iceland, Croatia, Greece. You're seeing some of the same repeats. If you go back to 2019, those important destinations, different entities, the tour operators, U.S. Tour Operators Association, you look at anything that anybody's done for studies, the same destinations are coming up. So right. It's just a matter of when those borders are open for people to go.
AAA has travel tips. Now, let's give these travel tips to the travel advisors who are then going to be passing them along to their clients. How do you emerge for this Memorial Day season?
Well, I say the same thing all the time, but I keep repeating it because you have to pack patience. I say this, and I'm getting coined for this because you have to realize that I think there's sort of an expectation that, I might get a deal or it's going to be there for me. What I'm saying is book now, plan your trip now, book now, use a travel agent, pay now, pay early. So like for a rental car, pay early. If you know you're going, pay for it up front because you're more apt to have the car when you get there than not have the car. Because if you just book and you don't pay, and you don't show up, that car sits there, and you're less likely to have the ability to rebook something else. So those kind of things. Purchase travel insurance to protect your trip. How important is that? There's such magnitude in that. You can't go without the travel insurance to protect the trip. Check the State Department, the CDC for regulations wherever you're going. Make sure you have all the necessary documents and so forth. But don't kid yourself that everything is going to be available. So that's where the patience comes in. You need to be flexible with your time, flexible with your dates. And just, realize that it may look like not a lot of people are traveling yet, but they will be. What you can't anticipate are the plans that they already have in motion. And if things hopefully stay open and we see this efficacy from the vaccines and we have vaccine and containment, virus containment, this is going to take off. I always say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And we're in the when stage now, and that's just going to get bigger and bigger.
And before we wrap up, travel advisors in general, do you have advice to them about how to approach this season?
It's all about relationships, Alan. One thing that AAA travel agents is a good example, because I can only speak for our own, but I'm going to say that for all travel advisors, regardless of where they are, but certainly for AAA, we value member experience, phenomenal, exceptional service, relationships. The relationship with that travel advisor and that member or the person who's booking through that travel advisor is absolutely paramount. I know what you like. I know how you should be treated. I have a brand to uphold. These are such important indicators today, and people need that. When they were stranded and they had no place to go, they kind of second guessed their decisions about what they did in terms of booking things on their own. You can certainly book something on your own, but the benefits of using a travel advisor, they're going to know where the member benefits are, what you can get from that, what are the best times, what's available, what's not available. They have the tools, and now the tools are getting so sophisticated. Let us do the work for you. But it is about relationships, number one. Even when COVID happened, I will tell you just personally that our travel advisors didn't worry so much about where the next dollar came from. They cared about the person and the relationship, and they made advocacy calls. We called customers out there to see, how are you doing? Are you okay? That's about the relationship. That is a bond that goes much further than just a sale. And they know that they can count on, and the trust goes a long way, because we pride ourselves in a trusted brand. But our employees, our travel agents, our teams, we're a trusted entity. So we're upholding the brand promise because those are part of our basic beliefs. And I think we've done a great job at that. And I would say all travel advisors, they're invaluable what they offer. And people should remember that.
I would hope that our travel advisors have been in touch and have been doing that. But then again, it's never too late to start. So get on the phone, get on the email, and make sure to make those connections.
Absolutely.
Will there be a AAA annual meeting this year?
Yes, there will.
Talk about
I'm very excited about it. We're promoting travel, and our meeting happens to be in the month of October, and we are having our meeting this year, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So we're getting very excited about that. Our clubs are engaged. The suppliers are engaged. I think it's going to be a great event. It's a good way for us to be together and to really celebrate our successes and look to the future with optimism and figure out ways how we can talk about best practices and how we move the needle and how can we service our guests even better in the future. So yes, the short answer is yes, and I'm excited.
Well, is the long answer, is it going to be hybrid, and where is it going to be?
No,
do you have any of those?
It's not
answers?
hybrid. A sneak peek, it's not hybrid. It's in person, and it's going to be in South Florida. So in October, so it's completely in person, and yes.
But don't you feel like you'll miss out on some people who actually can travel but happen to have a sick relative and they can't and they want to be able to join? No.
It may be. It's our AAA conferences with our clubs and our suppliers, and there may be times that people can't go. But for the majority of people that we're working with, they'll be able to attend. For those who can't, there's a recorded segments. We provide so much valuable information out there that we'll continue to engage them if they can't come. But I'm really optimistic.
Can you imagine how much they want to go? I just can't even.
Well, don't you want to be in South Florida in October, in the end of October? Let's face it. It's not a hard ask to want to be in South Florida.
All right. Well, then, is there anything else you want to say as we wrap up to our now more than 80,000 travel advisors?
Well, I'm going to tell the travel advisors to really stay optimistic. The future of travel is extremely bright. I'm a consummate, optimist in this, and I didn't lose my optimism in 2020. I knew that having gone through trials and tribulations many years ago, we move forward together. We support each other. We support the members who use travel agents, and we have no better advocate than your travel agent, your travel advisor, and stay the course. So I'm excited. I'm your advocate. I'm an advocate for travel advisors. So that's what I'm going to end up in saying, let's get moving and let's get travel back to where it was pre-2019.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being the keeper of the numbers. Thank you for knowing and being so knowledgeable. And thank you for being willing to share it with us.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, Alan. Thank you.
And this is Alan Fine for Insider Travel Report.